Nail by Ian Jones and Andy Edwards. Episode 2, Maggie's Story. Tuesday, February the 20th, 1940. Nail is visiting Margaret as he does every day now. Their relationship is becoming much closer, and Nail is feeling a way that he hasn't felt since his first wife, Chantelle, passed away. They sit down for afternoon tea. Nail is planning to visit his daughter in Aberishmael, but something he says triggers very strong and emotional memories for Margaret. I'm having afternoon tea with Maggie. Nice cuppa and a homemade scone. Oh, it's lovely. Lovely and cosy in her kitchen, and the smell of baking is still in the air. Can't beat a warm scone with butter. She churns her own, so there's plenty to spread, as thick as you want. Took some over to Merv this morning. He loves it. You're a lucky man, Nail, a very lucky man, he said, as I handed over the golden prize. Maggie, I say, as I'm spreading the butter, are you thinking of going over to Aberishmael on Saturday? I'm going to ride Kippa's horse over. It needs a ride out, and I enjoy a trot. Tommy's been keeping an eye on the horse for Kippa since he's been in France. It'll be nice to see Marianne and Chantelle, I say. I haven't seen them since New Year's Day at the hunt. That'll be nice, says Maggie. Fair play to my mother. She's doing a great job with Chantelle while Marianne is at work. Since she finished college, Marianne has been working at the school in Pontero while my mother looks after her little one. Hell of a shock when she told us she was pregnant. Still hasn't told us who the father is, mind. Probably one of the students on her RI course up in Lampeter. But she's adamant. It doesn't really matter, I suppose. It's all worked out well enough. Aye, mother and baby doing very well, thank you very much, I say. Maggie doesn't answer. Both bloomin', I go on. Best thing that's happened to Marianne. Difficult on her own, but she's a good mother. The clock ticks rhythmically in the sitting room. You all right, Maggie? I say. She's looking down into her tea, and I notice a tear is creeping slowly down her cheek. What's the matter, Bach? I ask. Have I said something? She sniffs. No, but doesn't look up. Oh, Cariad, I say. Don't, Hobart, she whimpers. You'll make it worse. I'm worried, but I know when it's time to be quiet, so I sip my tea and hold my tongue, and we sit in silence. After about 5 minutes, Maggie looks up. Sorry, she says. No need to be sorry, I reply. Don't you tell me what's the matter. Oh, it's nothing, she replies. Just upset myself, that's all. She pauses and looks down again. It's just when you were talking about Marianne and Chantelle, that's all, It made me think. I still say nothing. And when we took Tommy to St. David's last week, something happened and it just got my mind going. Well, I'm confused. What does taking Tommy to his psychiatric appointment got to do with Marianne and Chantelle? I don't press her, mind. She'll tell me if she wants. I've learned that much about her already. Oh, I'm sorry, she says. I thought I was over it. I've never told you, Hobart. I've never told anyone. She goes quiet again and takes a sip of lukewarm tea. She stares down at the table again. My mother got pregnant with me when she was in service in Denevor House. She was only 15. Only been there a few months. She was a scullery maid. Her mother, my nana, worked there too in the kitchen. She sighs deeply. They took me away from her, Hobart. Just a few days after I was born. Can you imagine that? What must she have been feeling? If someone took Verdun away from me, I couldn't cope. What must she have been feeling, huh? What happened to her then, I ask. I can't do this, she says, then gets up and walks through to the sitting room. I wait a couple of minutes, then follow her through and sit on the footstool by the hearth. Maggie is sitting on the two-seater. She puts her hands over her face. They put her in St. David's, Hobart. Said she was insane. Unmarried mother, 16 years old. Her mother couldn't stop them. She said the father was the son of Lord Denevor. If he'd have come forward, she'd have been fine. But he said nothing. Didn't want to bring shame on the family. He was in his 50s, dirty old man. Disappeared to London after that. Never heard of again. Probably living the high life while my mother was in the asylum. She takes her hands from her face, looks at me briefly, then looks down at the rug on the floor, wrings her hands together, then holds them to her chest. All the colour has drained from her face. Do you know where they sent me, Hobart? I shake my head, even though she's not looking at me. Llanedryd. There's another long silence. That's where I grew up. Llanedryd Workhouse. I can hardly bear to say it, let alone think about it. Dirty place. Inhuman the way we were treated. She starts to cry. I sit next to her on the two-seater and put my arm around her. She pulls close and sobs into my fisherman's jumper, tears soaked up by the wool. Terrible things happened there, Hobart, terrible things. I don't want to think about them, but they're always there. I can't block them out. I'm ashamed. But I was a child, Hobart. Do you understand? A little girl. Of course you were, Bach, I say, and pull her closer. She cries in my arms. Di Griffith saved me, she says through her tears. I'm surprised, but keep my counsel. He got me out of there, made an honest woman of me. And then when Verdun came, she catches her breath. When Verdun came, well, I felt proper, you know. Decent for the first time in my life. Do you understand, Hobart? Yes, Cariad, yes, I understand. And he was a thug, but I loved him, Hobart. And now he's gone, and Verdun will go away, and then you and I don't want to be on my own, Hobart. I don't want to be on my own again. Oh, Maggie Bach, I try to console her, but she sobs and sobs uncontrollably. She sniffs and speaks through her sobs. When we were in St. David's with Tommy, a matron asked me if I was Margaret Jones. Used to be, I said. Griffiths now. Do I know you? There's an old lady on Merlin Ward who says she has a daughter living in Ponterw called Margaret Jones, the nurse says. And wondered if it might be you, or if you knew her. She'd be about your age. Maggie breaks down again. I told her my mother was dead, Hobart. I told her she died of the flu in 1918. I told her she was mistaken. I'm an evil woman, Hobart. I don't deserve to be happy. Don't deserve to be alive. Stop it now, Maggie, I say. You only said what you thought was right. I've left her there, Hobart. Just like they did when she was 16. Just left her there to rot. I'm no good. I'm no good. Listen now, Maggie, I say assertively. You are a good woman who has been through a hell of a lot, and you deserve to be happy. I deserve to be miserable, Hobart, she weeps. I deserve to be dead. And what would Verdun do then, I say? You're all that boy has got. You are his entire world. So you've got to be strong for him. I know, she cries. But it's so hard, Hobart, so hard. I know Di was horrible to me, but Verdun thought the world of him. He was his father, his hero. He misses him. I don't know what to do, Hobart. I don't know what will become of me, what will become of us. It comes completely out of the blue. Marry me, Maggie, I say suddenly. I surprise myself that I've said it. The words just came out without thinking. Maggie stops crying and looks at me. I think she's in shock. Oh, you silly, lovely man, she says, and clutches up close. She didn't answer, I think to myself later. She just held me tight and then fell asleep on my lap. 2 hours she lay there, breathing softly, her warm breath dancing on my hands. I stroked her head and twirled her hair as she slept. The clock ticked off the seconds. I wondered if she'd heard what I'd said. Perhaps she just ignored it because it was easier than saying no. God, wish I hadn't said it, no. When she woke up, I told her she'd still had time to do something about her mother if she wanted. Thanks, Hobart, she answered. And then, do you know, I don't feel like making tea, but I really fancy some chips. Is Morgan's open? I'm on my way, I replied, and grabbed the mixing bowl from the kitchen. I'll be back before you can sing Hen Venw Fach Cydweli. And I shut the door firmly and off I went. I walked through the square with an empty mixing basin in my hands. The square is as empty as the basin. There's no fool like an old fool, I think to myself. Why would she want to marry an old fool? When I get to the chip shop, Morgan 2 times is standing behind the fryer. Mr. Morgan. Same Christian name and surname, and says everything twice. Very strange, but pleasant enough, though. Evening, Neil, he says. Oh, a basin of chips, please, Morgan, I say. Basin of chips, coming up it is, aye, he replies. Be ready now in a minute, aye, now in a minute, says Morgan. Oh, thanks, boy, I reply, no rush. Hard for her, all that stuff, aye. Memories don't go away. You just learn how to cope with them better, I suppose. There you go, says Morgan. Eat them while they're hot now. Aye, while they're hot. Thanks, Morgan, I say. We will. I put a tea towel over the chips to keep them warm and head off back to Maggie's. She's put 2 plates in the stove and buttered some bread. I kiss her softly on her forehead. We'll be all right, I say to myself. Aye, we'll be all right.